Hello. So today, drip marketing for Dahlia and Skirk dropped, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the both of them. Um, I'm probably gonna have less to say for Dahlia than I am gonna have to say for Skirk. So here is Dahlia, right? And I haven't met him actually because I haven't played the new story. You're also here briefly. Yay, you made it for the Dahlia bit. Yes, it is another twink. And it's another failed attempt at a cat boy, apparently. Poyo, just don't be cowards and give us a real cat boy. So you can see here, he's got these positioned, these in the corner, positioned very strategically, but they won't go the full distance. We also have like this line here, which I think is kind of supposed to be like his tail. He is from Mondstadt, of course. I haven't done the quest, so I don't know anything about him. So I guess I'm gonna try and figure out what he's like from this description, and then we'll see if I'm right later. So here is a description from Jean. To resolve disputes between citizens, laws both fair and just must be laid out. I'm afraid we can't approve of Dahlia. Dragging and disagreeing parties to the tavern to settle affairs via drinking contests without any talk of wrongs done. Does turning enemies into drinking buddies really solve the problem? Interesting. So he also likes to solve problems with drinks. I know that he's supposed to be like kind of close to Venti, so that sounds like very Venti behavior, right? Is he like Venti, right? It sounds very Venti, right? His title is Herald of Barbados. So maybe that's why he's so close to Venti, right? Oh, sorry, not title. His description, I guess. I don't know what this is actually. Sorry. His title is Ode and Oblation. Oblation being, I assume, there because of drink, right? Okay, and Ode, very bard-like. I guess he really is close to Venti. That's so strange because I feel like Venti knows like a lot of people, but I don't think we've had a character that has had so many like very obvious things pointing him towards like Venti. Do you know what I mean? So that's interesting. I wonder what kind of relationship they have if he knows who Venti really is, you know? He's Venti coded? Is this just Venti's pink twink Sona? That would be interesting. Oh. Constellation is Cantus Coralis. And again, Cantus and Coralis are both, I believe, words that have to do with singing. So, what is... That's intriguing. That's more interesting than I thought it would be. All right, let's look at this description of him, though. Maybe... Oh, this one's bigger. So we can also look at his drip a little bit closer because I couldn't zoom in earlier. Clearly, you've also not done the quest yet. Yeah, I guess we're in the same boat, which is good. Let me see. The color scheme is interesting. He's got a very similar color combination to, I would say, closer to Rosaria than Barbara, right? He looks like Child. Oh my god, don't say that. He doesn't seem to have dead eyes, from what I can tell. But yeah, he has like a kind of, maybe it's the red. It's not as dark as Rosaria's, but it does seem to be leaning that way. And I feel like that kind of makes sense given that he seems to not be a very strict by the book kind of deacon, right? Child colors, a little bit, yeah, a little bit. Not enough gray. His eyes are like a very light purple. His mouth shape here is interesting. I think that's very deliberate. It gives him more of that cat-like appearance. So he seems very mischievous, right? All right, let's see what they say about him. Child's oopsie with Venti. Oh my gosh, Child. He does get around. Okay. Many Mondstadters believe that Dahlia has the Animal Archon's favor, and that asking him for guidance is a reliable path to answers from Barbados himself. Oh wow, they think he's like really connected to Barbados. That is why those who desire succor often congregate around the deacon, pouring out their troubled hearts to him. However, such behavior has never perplexed Dahlia. If anything, he seems to enjoy it. He is drawn to the disturbances and troubles of the world, like a dandelion seed chasing a bustling breeze. Oh, that's interesting. It sounds like he seeks out trouble, almost, right? Drawn to the disturbances and troubles. On days when the believers do not come to him, he often goes to them instead, leaving the cathedral and strolling through Mondstadt's streets to look for trouble. Oh, I was right. He actually does look for trouble he might get involved in. You can't use the word sucker. You know what it means. Obligation to spread the good word? Hardly. He does this out of personal interest. Oh, he just likes the tea. He's just interested in the gossip. I see. After all, that's how one of the prayers goes. Let the wind lead. That's a very... I can already see the fan art. Dahlia and Venti. They sound like they could be a very fun pair. I'm so interested in him now that he seems to have such a connection to Venti. Right? Yeah, he seems to be a mischievous type. He seems to be not so... Like, I guess the trailer was meant to be dramatic, so maybe that's why he looked a bit more serious in it. But he seems to be a bit of a wild card, actually. And I wonder if, like, he's gonna be one of those characters that surprises us with his cunning at some point, right? He just has that kind of vibe. And definitely, I think he knows probably about Venti. It just feels that he knows about Venti. He seems strongly connected to Venti, right? He doesn't seem like a clueless Barbara, you know? But yeah, also another interesting thing is that Jean doesn't like him. Jean doesn't like him. Oh. We hardly hear about Jean really disliking anyone, right? Or am I like not remembering correctly? She seems to genuinely dislike him. So that's interesting. So that is Dahlia. I don't have much more to say. There's not much to comment on regarding his design. It doesn't really feel like anything is quite hidden in it or anything. I have many more notes about Skirk, so why don't you move on to her, okay? All right, so here is Skirk's design, okay? We'll look at the full design for a moment, and then I actually want to do it a little bit differently and take a look at her like physical, her design a bit more close up too. I think that she has a very different background here. She's obviously not associated to any nation, so that makes sense. But it is interesting. I wonder like what that kind of means. Her colors are very purple, and I know that a lot of people were expecting her to be a quantum or dark element character, like a new element, but it looks like she's cryo. So that's an interesting choice, right? She does indeed have a skirt. She does. And I do want to talk about her clothes for a bit. So the purple, and there's a bit of a... I don't know if it's as overt, but it does seem to be kind of butterfly-y. Her accessories seem a bit like butterflies, or maybe some kind of thing with wings. But that made me think of Sele? I don't know how to pronounce her name. From Honkai Star Rail, right? And... but her outfit, if I look at her outfit, and somebody else pointed this out to me first, but then I kind of was like, I kind of see it. I don't fully see it. I don't fully agree. And it may just be like something more common to like other characters from Honkai Impact 3rd or something instead. But if you look at these black straps, right? So if we notice here, she does not have a vision. So we're going to look at that too. But yeah, if we notice here, she's got these black straps that come together up here, right? White dress, right? It's a bit more revealing at the back, but and then these aren't technically boots, but they are like quite high. Somebody pointed out that she has similarities to Lumine in her general silhouette, right? Not with the hair, but with the outfit, right? And that I thought that was interesting. I thought that was kind of interesting. Bondage harness, yeah, a bit, right? Just because of Child's attraction to Lumine, right? And I thought that was an interesting thing to note. Okay, I'm not gonna say much more because I don't really know what else you could really read into it, but I just thought that was fascinating. Her eyes do look a little bit dead. So maybe that's from her time in the abyss. And she has like this accessory, or is it an accessory? I don't really know. Again, it's this weird feather thing like in her hair, right? Lumine with double D airbags up top. Yes, yes. Someone has a theory that Skirk is from the Honkai universe. Yes, she does have an otherworldly design. I don't think she's actually from Tevat. I'm pretty sure she's not, to be honest. But we don't know for sure yet. And I guess we'll find out when we see her story, maybe. I don't really know. She might be a mysterious character for a while yet. But I just thought that was very interesting. She does seem to be otherworldly, right? Which might be another reason that I'm kind of drawing parallels to Lumine a little bit. She is a sword wielder, which makes sense because Tartaglia said that she was a sword master, right? So maybe she'll also be a sword character in the game. That's probably likely, right? He saw this and his first thought was, I'm gonna fight her. Exactly. Okay. So let's take a look at first the description. So name is Skirk, title is Void Star. Again, another reason for I think people to want to have assumed that she was gonna be like a quantum character. And I like this. The description. Sinner's pupil, fool's master. And Sinner's pupil is obviously referring to Sortology, right? One of the sinners. And the foul, right? Fool's master, the fool is obviously child. And I thought that was interesting for two reasons. One, Fatui means fool. But I feel like they intentionally use the word fool and not Fatui because they are also kind of taking a dig at child, and I think that's kind of funny. I just thought that was cute. I don't care. Like, I'm not offended. I think it's funny. The 7 shifting serpent cryo, and that's what I thought was fascinating as well, is because here she's obviously not associated with a vision, which leads me to believe she's also not from Tevat because she doesn't have a gnosis or the authority like the dragon. She's obviously not a dragon anyway. But yeah, the 7 shifting serpent. And this could mean many things. The number 7 is associated with the elements. Shifting could mean changing between those 7, whatever, possibly elements. And serpent could be referring to like another way to say dragon. But maybe not. Maybe it's not related to a Nibelung. Maybe it's something else. But I thought that was interesting. And I would like to know what that means, like later. I hope we do get to know a little bit more. Whatever her element is, it got translated to cryo. Right, but imaginary isn't really a cryo thing. Constellation is Crystallina. I thought that was simpler than I was expecting. She has a constellation, which is interesting though, if she's not from Tevat. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel quite right for her to have a constellation somehow. But of course she's gonna have it so that we can get like C6. All right, let's look at the quote. This quote is also from 2 different characters having a conversation. The first character says, "Sin infests the firmament, calamity unfurls across the universe. You are free and none now may prescribe you, yet your destiny remains bound to that of this world. Indeed, you shall send your disciple here in the near future." That was obviously a prophecy from Vedder who is the visionary Dainsleif's brother, one who was tortured and locked away for predicting the downfall of Conria. Right? And then Sortology responds, "What? Me? A student? Such misfortune, for them I mean, whenever they show up." So Sortology is another sinner, the foul, and seems to have some kind of relationship, a close friendship or something with Vedder, given like the way that this conversation is going. I would say they seem to be like friendly. And he does seem to believe in Vedder prophecies, right? But I'm interested, because we don't have very much Sortology lore, in this description where it says, "You are free and none now may prescribe you, yet your destiny remains bound to that of this world." So Sortology is, I guess, trying to break free, or was, I guess, at some point, from perhaps his fate, maybe. But somehow he's still connected to Tevat, and he can't really escape that. Sin infests the firmament, calamity unfurls across the universe. This is like big big stakes, right? And I wonder also if Skirk is the one who is actually connecting Surology to the destiny of this world. Perhaps Surology is not here anymore, right? Which is interesting, and I just wish we knew more about him. We don't seem to know much, right? The stars hang above in their night-veiled skies. The abyss lies beneath in sonic depths. I have no idea what that word means. I don't even know if I pronounced it right. Okay. None can know what lies beyond the bespangled heights, just as none can perceive that which dwells in lightless depths. And bespangled heights, I imagine, means beyond the sky, right? And lightless depths would be the depths of the abyss, right? These two very opposite things. As the ancient Conrian augur once said, venturing out into the universe and down into the abyss are the same, right? So as I mentioned earlier, these two things very different, but it seems they're kind of related in some way, or they have similar maybe effects, right? In that both are braving the dark unknown. Okay, now the reason I wanted to talk about that part for a little bit longer is because when the Voyager, I was trying to make sure I used the right word, when the Voyager returned to Tevat, they found Nibelung had gone, implying that Nibelung had gone out into the universe. And then I had a theory that perhaps when he came back, something happened and he got corrupted by the abyss. But what if there is a form of the abyss beyond Tevat that corrupted him and he came back already like that, right? Because I still think that Nibelung could be the third descender, even though he's from Tevat. If he left and then returned, he could be considered a descender. And that's not that weird. People already theorized before, and I don't know if this is true, but like it is a theory that like Aether and Lumine perhaps originally were Conrian and came from Conria, but then left, and then they were called back, and that's what makes them descenders. So I don't think that that's such a strange leap to make, right? So that could be a hint into what happens in Nibelung. In the days after the underground civilization, that's Conria, collapsed, upon a patch of unremembered scorched earth. I thought that was an interesting description, and I wonder what this unremembered scorched earth is referring to, okay? The one who despised destiny plucked a young girl from the hand of fate. And I think that's why earlier I said Surology seems to be defiant of fate, right? Despise destiny. Plucked a young girl from the hand of fate. Once she had grown up, she too saved a child ensnared by providence. And that is obviously child. That's obviously Tartaglia. How good it would be if warmth could be the measure of all things, if all tales could end in joy. Yet the road ahead is uncertain, the sights beyond And I thought this was interesting. How good it would be. Who has this sentiment? Is it Skirk? Is she a kinder, warmer person than we thought? Also, was it the abyss that, also made her have dead eyes? Took that like warmth out of her. That would be not surprising because Child kind of went through a similar thing, right? So we'll see. It's gonna be a big player for sure. And I also wonder what that has to do with Surology. Like, is it via training from Surology? Like, is it simple as that? Or is it going to be something more complicated, deeper than that? Is Surology in Tevat or somewhere else? Is he gonna be called back because of her? I'm so interested in Surology because we don't know very much about him at all. We don't know much about any of the sinners. Right? Maybe the Nod Cry portion of the game will reveal more to us, because I do feel like at least they've mentioned the sinners quite a bit during like the Archon interludes, but still I think a lot of people don't know very much. Right? And that might have been one of the things they want to give us more information about with Nod Cry. So let me see what else I have that I wanted to mention. I did want to look at oh yes, I also thought it was interesting that her Chinese VA is Bronya, Her Chinese VA voices Keqing too, but that's not important. That's in this game. But considering the white hair, I was like, oh no, maybe she's gonna be the Bronya variant. But I don't know. I don't think that's really that true. I still think that that's gonna be the Tsaritsa, right? Although we could also have multiple variants, right? Since she's cryo, this is not related to the story, but I think that Escoffier is probably gonna be, you know, important to have if you want to have her do her best damage. Now for the description of this, we already mentioned that she doesn't have a vision. Oh, and yes. Okay, this is the last thing. So the origin of her name, right? Bronya from HSR Honkai Impact 3rd. Honkai Impact 3rd, in the sense that like everything is going to be from Honkai Impact 3rd, because that's the original Honkai, right? Keqing gets to voice 3 characters in Genshin, yes. So we've got, I think a lot of people before Gami. Oh, does she voice Gami? I had no idea. Anyway, what was I saying? Okay, right. And so I know that people before said that her name could be a derivation of Cersei, right? Which could be, or Kirke, right? It is possibly one pronunciation of that, and that was the, I guess, enchantress that had her own island, and she lured men to it and then turned them into animals. So there is that, right? But I feel like that doesn't have a lot to do with what we know about Skirk from here. So I looked it up, and somebody on Reddit pointed out Skatak, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. I'm sorry. It is Scottish Gaelic, right? And from Irish mythology. It says that Skatak, sure I'm mispronouncing that, is a figure in the Ulster cycle of Irish mythology. She's a legendary Scottish warrior woman and martial arts teacher who trains the legendary Ulster hero, who line in the arts of combat, right? And then that, I'm gonna look at that in a moment to see if we can see any connections to Child, right? Texts describe her homeland as Scotland. She's especially associated with the island of Skye, where her residence stands. She's called the Shadow and Warrior Maid, and is the rival and sister of Ifey. Okay, so Ku, we'll just call him that, right, is an Irish warrior hero and demigod in the Ulster cycle of the Irish mythology, as well as in Scottish and Manx folklore. He is believed to be an incarnation of the Irish god Lu, who is also his father. So he was trained in martial arts by Skatak, who gave him the spear, Gay Bulg. Okay. I want to read it as Gay Bulge, and I don't think that's correct. Anyway, it was prophesied that his great deeds would give him everlasting fame, but that his life would be short. And that is very child-coded, right? Like super child-coded. And very Ajax-coded, like in particular, right? Anyway, there's more child coding. He is known for his terrifying battle frenzy, in which he becomes an unrecognizable monster who knows neither friend nor foe. Foreshadowing? Maybe. Based on that, it just makes it sound very similar. Like she would be coded this way because like Child might be coded to that character, right? And I know, not to make everything about Child, but that is the reason I'm pulling for her, is because everything is about Child for me. He incarnated as his own son. I know, right? How did that happen? He's in Fate. Oh, okay, cool. That would not be surprising either if they drew more inspiration from Fate for writing Child. But yeah, so that's all I have. But I just thought that was really like a lot to already start to like dig into for understanding like Skirk, how she's gonna be important to the story, her connections to Child, and just like a random, you know, I'll just make a random correlation to Lumine because I can. That's all I really wanted to talk about today. Good luck to everyone on their polls.